It's the Chili Bowl, and it's hotter than ever. If you know that reference, then you're a good person. But wow, what a night on Thursday. I talked about it yesterday that Wednesday seemed kind of boring. It wasn't the greatest night of racing at the Chili Bowl. And Thursday absolutely 100% delivered. I don't know if you could say it was the best night of the week because I think Tuesday was pretty damn good, all the storylines and the racing. But Thursday, I mean, it is right there with it. Absolutely incredible stuff. I think this was the best track all week as well, the best overall racing track throughout the entire night. They absolutely nailed it. So let's get into this recap and talk about what happened. 79 total entries showed up for the Thursday night prelim as compared to 76, 74, and 66 on the previous nights. Heat race number one, it went to Bradley Fazzard, a 3-1 run for him, and might be the only guy in Chili Bowl history to have three numbers and win a heat race. So the number 938 car gets the win in heat race number one. Heat race two, it was Jeff Stazza. He went 2-1 to get the win in that one. Shane Cottle, your winner in heat race number three, he also went 2-1. The Shark Carter Sarf, who was one of the big storylines on the night, he went 5-1 in heat race number four. Brady Bacon, winner of heat race number five, also going 5-1. Tanner Thorson, the winner of heat race number six, he started from sixth position. Heat race 7 went to Christopher Bell with a 4-1 effort. Chris Windham, a heat race 8 winner, 3-1 for him. And then heat race number 9 went to Ryan Bernal. Qualifier number 1, Tanner Thorson, 6-1 for the win. Qualifier number 2 went to Carter Sarf, 6-1 as well. Qualifier number 3, how about Matt Sherrill getting a win? 2-1 in that one. And then qualifier number 4 went to Ryan Bernal. So 3 drivers able to win both their qualifier and their heat race. Now, storylines going into the feature, I just had to put this on the board because I do not think this kid gets enough credit for what he's been able to accomplish over the last year or two. Carter Sarf is the real deal. There is no doubt about that. And we'll get more into him later on because he was a guy that was right in the mix for the win for the first half of this race. And then he makes a mistake at the end of this race that really just kills his entire Chili Bowl. But wow, Carter Sarf fast all night long. 5-1, 6-1, that's tough to do. Also, what a great night for Parker Jones, even though the same, in the same vein as Carter Sarf did not end the way he wanted. Not many people know who Parker Jones is, but maybe after last night they do. I mean, this kid was running in 4th place in the main event. Nobody, and I'm telling you, nobody saw that coming from the 41P. Also happening, Spencer Based in his heat race. I don't know what happened there. I think he started 8th or 9th. And ran 6th, and in the process, he murdered over 500 Chili Bowl pools. I'm not kidding you when I say that. Over 500 people took him in the Chili Bowl pool, and he would have to come through the C main due to not getting it through there in the heat race at all. He only passed like 2 cars. Also, another big moment was Landon Crawley. Last year was a rookie with the World of Outlaws. He gets upside down in a big way in the heat race after, I believe it was Chris Windham and Josh Hanna or something, the 80 car. They got together on the backstretch coming off turn 2. Hanna came down the racetrack, clips Landon Crawley, and he goes for a couple of barrel rolls, destroys the rear end of that car. He would make it back out for the D-Main. Speaking of that, D-Main's on the racetrack for the first time all week. We have not seen D-Mains, and I'm guaranteeing you we will see D-Mains tonight as well. It is going to be a huge field for the Friday night prelim. Also, I was a big fan of Hank Davis as a pit reporter last night. I put a tweet out saying as long as he looked into the camera a little bit more, he could have a future as a pit reporter for Flow Racing. He was doing a good job. He seemed confident in what he was saying, asking good questions to certain drivers and whatnot. So Hank Davis, hat tip to him. And then the C-Main, Spencer Baston is out there just dodging asteroids, man. Like there are cars all over the racetrack. Just, it looked like there was more people. Like if I got behind the wheel of a midget, like the midget would be controlling me. That was what it looked like for about 20 people in the C-Main that Spencer Baston was in. He was dodging cars left and right, just trying to not get wrecked. And he would get the win. I also want to give a shout out to Jeffrey Newell. He went from the D main to the C main to the B main. He does like soup, but unfortunately he could not complete the alphabet there as his night stopped in the B main. Brady Bacon, he had a flip in his qualifier all by himself, got upside down, destroyed the car, but he would come back out in the B main and make the transfer later on. In B main number 1, it was Brody Fusen, who was absolutely the show. He spun out in his qualifier, had to come from the tail end of the B, and he was pounding the curb like it owed him money, and it was fun to watch. And he would have a great run later on in the feature as well. The bright green car, cannot miss him on the racetrack. Brody Fusen was fun to watch. And like I mentioned a few minutes ago, the track all night was the best it has been all week long in the heats, the qualifiers, and in the feature as well. It was the best track by far the entire week. So great job to the track prep crew. And then Spencer Baston, he goes 11th to 2nd in the B main, and he is right there with Brady Bacon. Both those guys having to come from the tail, and they make it into the transfer spots for the feature event. Now, let's jump into the feature. Obviously, I've got a lot of notes there. Those are not for you guys to read. I am just using them as a reference point to tell you what exactly happened, in my opinion on things. Thorson and Sarf were the front row for this main event. Thorson would lead early over Carter Sarf, and CJ Leary would get by Christopher Bell early on. The top came in really, really fast. And, we've heard drivers mention over the last couple of nights that usually on the prelim feature after the track work, the bottom is good for 8 or 10 laps. It burns off, then everybody moves to the top. That was not the case last night. Carter Sarf immediately goes to the top, and on lap number 3, he is able to take the lead from Tanner Thorson. Lap number 4, there is a huge pileup, probably the biggest wreck as far as the amount of cars in it that we've seen all week long. Matt Sherrill, Bradley Fazard, Chris Wyndham, the 3P, who was that? I'm having a blank right now. I'll get back to that in a moment. Spencer Baston and Andrew Deal, all of those cars. Drake Edwards was the other car. So 6 cars involved in a huge wreck on lap number 4. From what I saw, they were all able to continue on. A couple went to the work area, but they were able to get back out there. Thorson gets back to the lead on lap number 5 on the restart, and then he starts to pull away on lap number 8. Christopher Bell takes second off the bottom in turn number 4 on lap 9. And on lap 10, he is able to take the lead off the bottom of turn number 4 as well. So Thorson's car is plugged into the cushion, and it looks really, really solid at the beginning of the race. And as that cushion started to ledge up, though, that was when you could tell that he was starting to, kind of get tight a little bit, and Bell was having that same problem. But Bell was absolutely monster trucking the berm, had both left side tires up on the berm. It was fun to watch him hit that bottom, and he would take the lead. And after that, you kind of get worried, like, okay, is he going to run away from this, the rest of the field? Is he going to dominate this race and kind of make it a snoozer? Well, let me tell you, that was not the case. After he got to the lead, Thorson is able to stay right with him after taking the lead and would maintain the pace. And we know Tanner Thorson was probably in the cockpit, tuning on the shocks and whatnot, trying to get his car in the right spot. The top 2 are able to break away, but then on lap 15, around the halfway point, Carter Sarf is closing back in on them because Bell cannot get through some of the lap cars. I don't think he got through any of them. I think maybe past one lap car, but there was guys that were on the bottom and on the top, and he could not find a way by either of them. And so he was really bottled up behind those guys. And then coming off of turn number 2 one time, Bell kind of slid up to the curb, and then he got sideways coming off, kind of bobbled on the cushion. Thorson was underneath of him. They get together, left rear to right front contact. Thorson almost goes to the infield, but he does keep going, loses some ground, but is able to track him back down relatively quickly. Lap number, let's see here. Then on lap number 20, Ryan Bernal gets up into the 4th position as he passes CJ Leary, and we see Bernal just kind of slowly but surely creeping up the leaderboard there late in the race. Lap 21, there is a yellow for Matt Sherrill, his second involvement in a yellow, and he got upside down, but he would continue on in the race, and so Sherrill's night would not be over. The running order on lap number 20 is Bell, Thorson, Sarf, Bernal, Leary, Denny, Parker Jones, Matt Westfall, Frank Flood, and Kyle Spence. 3 of those names just do not seem to be in the right spot. Frank Flood, Matt Westfall, Parker Jones, great run for all 3 of those guys. I was not expecting any of them to be running in the top 10 this late in the race. Bell on the restart gets a really good start. He pulls away significantly from Thorson, who tried to do one of those restarts where he gets to the cushion. Bell turned it down the hill, and Thorson tried to run the curb and get a run. It did not work. Bell pulled away, but Thorson would really catch back up to him relatively quickly there. Parker Jones on that same restart goes into the 5th position. He gets by CJ Leary on lap number 22, and I have it right there. The track is just sick. I mean, it is the best track by far we've seen all week. There are 2 lanes to work with. That the night where Brooks and Crouch had their battle, the top was kind of the only place you could run. The night when Larson won, that was kind of the only line you could run was the top. Not last night. It was the bottom and the top sliders. You could do whatever you wanted. You could put your car where you want to do on the racetrack, and it was perfect. Thorson is able to reel in and pass Bell on lap number 25. And then right after he crosses the line, like they just barely completed the lap, Casey Schumann comes across the finish line, and he absolutely just ballparks this thing. I mean, he doesn't go out of the park, but he is up above what looks like the catch fence, comes down, and that last hit on the tail tank looked like it hurt him a lot. Hope he is okay here today, but that was a really rough ride for Casey Schumann. Parker Jones on the restart is able to get by Carter Sarf. Parker Jones is in fourth place. With like less than 5 laps to go. This kid is he's just good. He was so good on the inside of the racetrack. So a hat tip to Parker Jones. 3 to go. Thorson and Bell are nose to tail for the race lead. Very, very close on both ends of the racetrack. And then as they are going down the backstretch on the final lap, there is a yellow back behind them as CJ Leary and Parker Jones got together racing for the third position. Leary had it, goes into the corner. It looks like he kind of chops Parker Jones a little bit there, and then maybe just kind of hiccups a little bit in the corner, gets a little bit sideways, and Jones was right on his rear bumper. They get together. They go flying into the wall. They go from the bottom all the way to the top. Ryan Bernal, meanwhile, is behind them and monster trucks off the wall, off of Leary's car, comes back onto the racetrack, is not broken, and continues on in third. But that was a huge heartbreaker, not only for Parker Jones, who was having the night of his life, but if you're Alex Bowman and you walk into the Expo Center today, you might want to watch out for a falling piano. I mean, this guy cannot catch a break. Leary wrecked out. Briggs Danner wrecked while leading. Kevin Thomas Jr. spun out on lap 1. And Jake Swanson, he just wasn't really that fast the other night. But ABR has had a really tough week. While that caution is happening, though, Carter Sarf pulls up the ramp thinking, and I think I read this somewhere, that he thought it was the checkered. He thought the race was over, which does kind of make sense because they were on the white flag. You know, the yellow came out on the white flag, and then, I don't know, he just pulled off the racetrack and then went up the ramp back to the pit area. He was running fourth, I think, at the time of that little incident there. So probably kicking himself today. I don't think there was any other problems. We'll have to wait and find out what they say on Facebook. But Carter Sarf, that was a rookie mistake right there. That is something that you hate to see for him because he was having a great night. And then on the restart, we have to go to overtime. Instead of 30 laps, it is 31. And it is, I can't even write everything on the board. It's just literally every man for himself out there. Going into turns 1 and 2 on the final lap, they are 3 wide for the race lead. Bell's in the middle. Thorson's on the top. He gets tight. The car almost bikes up, and you got Bernal on the very bottom of the racetrack. Going down the backstretch, it's Thorson and Bernal like this, and Bell's kind of back here. Bernal almost chokes it away, almost, dicks the dog coming off the last corner, misses the bottom by a country mile, but is able to turn it back down the hill and get the grip down the straightaway to hold off Christopher Bell for that final transfer spot to the feature. But Tanner Thorson would get the win. He would do it again, and this guy is a serious threat for the win on Saturday. Once again, I don't know if anybody didn't think that was going to happen, but Tanner Thorson is once again showing he is the real deal inside the Expo. He would get the win. He led laps 1, 5 through 9, and 25 to 31. He started from the pole and he got the win, but obviously it did not come easy. He got passed by 2 different guys. Ryan Bernal, 5th to 2nd. He will lock in for the first time in his career on a prelim night. Then you got Christopher Bell. He led laps 10 through 24, ends up in the 3rd spot after starting 4th. Matt Westphal, is he getting better with age? He won a USAC sprint car race this year, and then he just ran 8th to 4th on a prelim night at the Chili Bowl. Matt Westphal, I know there was a couple things that happened that led to him, moving up the leaderboard, but he was solid all night long. We talked about him over here, I think, right? Nope, we missed him over there. But Matt Westphal, how about that? That is awesome to see for him and that Four Kings Racing team. Jacob Denny had a tough night. He did not have a very good heat race. He had to rebound after that, and he was able to finish 5th after starting in 11th. He will go to the B main along with Westphal and Bell. Frank Flood, the Floodwaters are in town in Tulsa, 13th to 6th in the Jody Rosenboom car. The best run in the midget by far for Frank Flood of his entire life. Great run for him, and another good run for Kyle Spence. He's just always solid. He knows where to put his car out on the racetrack. He's still figuring midgets out. A 10th to 7th run for him. The Throttle, Shane Cottle, he finishes up in 8th. 9th goes to Brody Fusen. He was the hard charger. 21st to 9th for him. And then Brady Bacon started 20th, and he finishes up in the 10th spot. So that is your top 10 finishers. There are a couple of guys I would like to mention here that were also in the main event that had problems and where they finished at in this race. Let me tell you real quick where they ended up. I think Spencer Basin is probably the one guy that a lot of people are looking for. He finished way back in the 15th position. So Basin's going to have some work to do on Saturday night. Chris Wyndham was 11th. He got involved in that, very early incident in the feature event, was not able to recover. CJ Leary 22nd and Carter Sarf 23rd after pulling off on that last lap under the caution. So those are the things that happened last night at the Chili Bowl. It was a crazy, crazy night. And I am expecting more of the same tonight on Friday because there's probably going to be over 80 entries showing up. And there's a lot of guys that switch nights that are good guys and are going on Friday. It is going to be a lot of fun. So make sure to tune in on Flow Racing around, 5 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe, hit the like button, and comment your thoughts below on what happened last night. I want to hear all of your thoughts and more down below. And we'll talk to you guys again here tomorrow on the Rodman Rundown. Thanks.